John Hook's Newsmaker starts now.
Thanks for joining us on Newsmaker. Tonight, from the Attorney General's office in downtown Phoenix. As we speak with the 27th Attorney General for the great state of Arizona, Kris Mayes. Attorney General Mayes, thank you. I think as we tape this on Tuesday, we're going to make some news here.
Yep.
You are going to move ahead with the death penalty. Who is it?
So the next execution warrant that I'm going to seek is for a man named Richard Jerf. And he killed most of the members of a family in Glendale.
Family.
Yes, the Luna family, exactly, in 1993. So he brutally murdered 4 members of the Luna family, including 2 people under the age of 18 and a 5-year-old son, and raped the daughter. This was a brutal attack on a family, and that's the person that we are going to seek an execution on next.
The reason that case sticks with me, and there's a point to be made here, that happened 1 week after I started at Channel 10 in 1993. 32 years. Why does it take so long?
It frankly takes too long, and one of the reasons that we are moving forward with these executions is that many of these families, the families of the victims, have been waiting decades for justice. And when you have a case like this, when you have someone like Jerf and the murders that he committed, it shouldn't take decades to get to justice. So we're moving forward. As you know, I think it's also important that the state does this constitutionally and thoughtfully, in the sense that we need to get it right, and I think we got it right with Gunches.
Am I wrong here in thinking that personally you do not favor the death penalty? And if so, then why greenlight it?
I don't oppose the death penalty, actually. I mean, when you look at a case like Jerf's, when you look at the Luna family, which was decimated, virtually destroyed by Richard Jerf, it's a case that clearly calls out for the death penalty. And so I'm not opposed to the death penalty. And, I'm the top law enforcement officer of the state of Arizona. It's my job to enforce the decisions of judges and juries. The death penalty is the law of Arizona. It's the law of the land. The people of Arizona have spoken on this, and so I'm going to carry out the law.
A lot of news this week. The fake electors case. The judge in the case in Maricopa County says it needs to go back to a grand jury. I take it you disagree with that decision.
We absolutely disagree with that decision. We think it was the wrong decision, and we will be appealing it, very soon.
Would you take it back to a grand jury?
Look, I don't even want to. I'm not even going to go there, because we feel so strongly that we were right and the judge was wrong in this case in making this decision. So we think we're going to have a very good chance of achieving a victory at the appellate court level, and we think we're going to be trying this case in January 2026.
It's very likely, though, even if you prevail, that it'd end up at the Supreme Court at some point. And we're talking now, we're 5 years out, going on 6. I think you've got a hearing in January on this.
Yeah.
6 years.
Yeah, well,
is the juice worth the squeeze?
I know I get that question a lot, and it's unfortunate that my predecessor didn't bring this case. I mean, he sat on it for 2 years, essentially. And as you know, I got here in January 2023. We investigated it essentially for almost a year, exhaustively investigated it, and then took it to a grand jury, and a grand jury indicted the 18 people who have been charged and who we hope will stand trial for. Look, I mean, John, this is, an attempt to undermine our democracy. is one of the most serious offenses against our country that you can commit. And so that's why we thought it was important, despite all the resources that have gone into it, to follow through with the case.
The judge in this case, the same judge, earlier this year hinted that your motivations at the prosecution might be political, to deny these people due process, to prevent it from ever happening again. You've also appealed that one.
Yeah. Well, yeah, obviously there is no political bias when, it was my decision and our decision to persuade the grand jury not to indict Donald Trump. As you recall from the record, the grand jury wanted to indict President Trump, and we asked them not to.
Why?
Because we didn't think we had the evidence for it. And so if I was a political prosecutor, that decision wouldn't have been made probably that way. It was a close call, but we asked the grand jury not to. On
this issue, I think, my count, you're up to 18 lawsuits against the Trump administration. That's a lot. To block Trump's policies, including DOGE, birthright citizenship, cuts to the National Institutes of Health. You've even sued over tariffs and halting wind energy. Donald Trump won the state by 6 points. Can a case be made that you've taken this too far? That if you're trying to find middle ground here, that your job, some might say, does not mean being the loyal opposition all the time? There's no middle ground when it comes to standing up for the Constitution. No president, whether it's Joe Biden, Bill Clinton, Barack Obama, or Donald Trump, has the right to trample the Constitution. And it's my job to uphold the rule of law and the Constitution in our state and in this country. And so my answer for that is, do I want to be suing Donald Trump? No. This is not on my bucket list. But will I do it every single time he violates the Constitution? You bet I will. And I would do it if he was a Democrat. It doesn't matter what's your political party. And I promise you, John, that if this were a Democratic president, essentially violating the separation of powers over and over and over again, the Republicans would be coming unglued. And so that's why we're having to do it. Okay. And by the way, some of those areas, could I just point out, some of those areas you talk about are incredibly important. Tariffs, that was one of the lawsuits that I led. And, this is a... The tariffs may work out. They're not going to work out, John, first of all. And even, look, I'm not anti-tariff per se. I think these are going to be catastrophic, especially for small businesses in Arizona. But the president cannot use IEEPA to accomplish them. He can't just bypass Congress. That's just not the way it works, and that's the argument we're making. Okay, when Democratic attorneys general across the country decide to go after Trump, decide to uphold the Constitution. Okay. Could be a little of both. Okay, the question is, have there been any of those attempts to stop Donald Trump, for whatever reason, that you have not signed on to? Yes, at least 3. Okay. That you felt, not this one? Correct. 3. Okay, that's important to know. We can get you those 2 as well. 2 of them, I think, were border related. Okay. You said back in February, along with a group of attorneys general, you said, we are on the brink of a dictatorship, and America has never been in a more dangerous position than she is today. Do you still stand by that? Oh, 100%. I've been very clear. Is this what Arizona, you got a lot of people from the middle and the right who voted for you. Yep. And is this what they voted for? Yeah, because I think a lot of Arizonans, including all of those independents and moderate Republicans who voted for me,
still believe in America and still believe in our Constitution, and they still believe in the rule of law. And they did not think, I don't think that they believed that when they voted for Donald Trump, they thought that he was going to come in and on at least 18 occasions violate the separation of powers or some other constitutional provision. I mean, you know, the people, by the way, who are coming to my town halls, John, there are a lot of Republicans. There's a lot of independents. Donald Trump is underwater in the polling all across America, especially among independents. Why do you think that is? It's because we still believe in our Constitution. And, you know, look, I believe very strongly in our Constitution. As you know, I used to be a Republican.
I was just going to bring it up.
I remember a time when Republicans were the party of the Constitution and the rule of law. And that is just not the case anymore, which isn't to say there's a lot of Republicans out there who still believe in the rule of law. And so, you know, that's my job as the Attorney General, whether it's a Democratic president or a Republican president. It's my job to stand up for the rule of law. Even if Arizona voted for Trump by a few percentage points. Now, would they again? I don't know. I mean, he can't run again.
They did. So his argument is that.
But I won as well.
You did.
They voted for me as well.
Narrower margin.
True. Fair. But a win is a win, and I am here now, and I am going to stand up for the Constitution. Period. Full stop.
Okay. Do you think he has any case when he says that there, you know, between the courts and attorneys general across the country, that they're thwarting his agenda that the public voted for? No,
what they are thwarting is his attempts to violate the Constitution. Period. It's not. There is a way for him to pass his agenda.
Does he frustrate you?
I think he's frustrated by the Constitution. You know, I mean, it's what frustrates me is when he bypasses a lawful way to accomplish his agenda. Every president has the right to accomplish their agenda, but you have to do it with Congress. You can't do it with executive orders. You can't write out the 14th Amendment to the Constitution and birthright citizenship by signing an executive order. I mean, John, what would happen if the next Democratic president were to sign an executive order writing out the Second Amendment and saying that Arizonans could no longer own guns? That's what we're talking about here with this president, right? I mean, what would happen if the next president of the United States, if we don't stand up to this, it sets a precedent for the next president of the United States to write out with an executive order to slash any portion of the Constitution that they just don't happen to agree with. And we don't vote for that.
We continue our conversation with Attorney General Kris right after this. Welcome back on Newsmaker. Attorney General Kris. When I look at your record, it strikes me that the thing you're most passionate about is consumer protection. Do I have that right?
I think that's fair, yeah.
Okay, so you just announced this week that you are going after more people and entities involved in these fraudulent sober living homes.
Yep.
What is the deal? How did we get here?
It's stunning, John. It's absolutely, I've called it one of the most egregious scandals in state government history, and I stand by that statement. And where largely under previous administrations, the government and our Medicaid program Access allowed dozens of fraudsters to come in, steal maybe more than $2 billion from and engage in that level of fraud from our Medicaid program Access. And the worst part of it was that they were bringing Native Americans down from the Navajo Nation, White Mountain Apache.
Yes, we've reported on this.
Exactly. Actually, you guys have probably done more reporting than anybody.
Just alone, yes.
Yes. And promising them services that they never gave.
You also, you were calling for the state to modernize how it handles disconnections of electricity, power, to people when it's hot out. Yep. We had a case of an 82-year-old woman, Kate Corman. She died after APS shut off her power on a near 100-degree day. You are looking into this.
Yes.
How would you try to go about fixing that from your position?
So, and you know, I'm a former corporation commissioner myself.
Yes.
So here's what I think needs to be done. Number one, the utilities need to, before they shut off the power, especially of elderly people or vulnerable people, they need to actually knock on the door and humanly, physically make contact with people.
They say they tried to contact her 10 times.
Yeah, but they didn't.
And then knocked on her door apparently after her final bill.
But they didn't. It doesn't look like they saw her or spoke to her in person. And so that's the first thing. More importantly than that, even though, John, is that the utilities need to have, instead of having a date-based cutoff for shutting people off, in other words, a date after which you don't shut people off, because it's just too hot in Phoenix to shut people off, you know, when it's over a certain temperature. You need to have a temperature-based shut-off policy. So if it gets to be...
That's what you're proposing.
Or did I say that wrong?
Temperature-based. No, that's interesting.
That's right. Did I say that? Yeah, so temperature-based, yes, correct.
That you might shut it off when it's 70 out, but not when it's 100.
Yeah, probably not 70, but let's say, you know, 85, okay. Or, you know, and so I think if that had been, but in this case, right now, the utilities have persuaded the Corporation Commission to make it a date-based shut-off policy. So
interesting.
The problem is it gets hotter and hotter and hotter earlier and earlier, and I know you and I can have a difference about why that is,
yeah.
But I think we agree
I think it's urban heat island myself. But,
okay. But whatever it is.
The result is the same.
The result is the same, and it's just too hot, and so people are dying.
That's an interesting idea. Let me talk to you about Fondamonte. This is a Saudi company.
Yes.
That was drawing water in La Paz County. They are not now, or they still are?
Oh, they still are.
They still are.
Yes.
They're growing alfalfa, shipping it back to Saudi Arabia, correct?
Yeah. Yes.
And you have said this is a violation. You've used a novel legal argument calling them a nuisance. But now you've got ranchers and farmers down there saying, be careful limiting what water we can draw from the ground, because there are good actors who need that water. Don't throw the baby out with the farm water. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So we're right. So I have sued the Saudis, or a Saudi-owned corporation, Fondamonte, for creating a nuisance by withdrawing tens of millions of gallons a year of water, and basically dewatering the wells of people around them, including at an RV park, cattle ranchers, a nearby ranch, a Baptist church.
So they suck it out of the aquifer, but that doesn't mean it's just under their land.
Right, it's under it's an aquifer, and so what is happening is the guy with the deepest, the biggest straw, and that can drill it the deepest, who had essentially the guy with the most money.
Is that Fondamonte?
In this case, it's Fondamonte, or down in southeastern Arizona, Riverview Dairy, can essentially drill that straw so deep, deeper than everybody else around them. And these are people who retired to Arizona, sunk their life savings into their home, and then watched as a Saudi-owned corporation came in and essentially destroyed their livelihoods and their homes.
Take Fondamonte out of it. Could a case be made that this would lead to more restrictions on groundwater that could be reasonable and beneficial?
Look, well, I mean, I think that what I hope that it will do is lead to a scenario in which big corporations, big outfits that have a lot of money use water more wisely and care about their neighbors. You know what? One of the things I would give Donald Trump high marks for is almost putting an end to the immigration crisis that we had at the border.
Has it stopped the fentanyl?
Which started a little bit before Trump came into office. No, and it has not stopped the fentanyl crisis. And I will give
We're not seeing any drop.
You know, we are seeing for the first time in Arizona and many other states, we've seen a decline in fentanyl overdose deaths.
That may be Narcan.
Right, and a lot of the other solutions that we've been putting in place because of the opioid settlement funds. But what I would not give President Trump high marks for is the fact that we still have 3 times fewer DEA agents in Arizona helping us do the prosecutions and the investigations of the Mexican drug cartels. And we need way more DEA agents in Arizona than they do in New York and Florida. That's insane. And I have asked the DEA to send us 50 more agents.
Were you, when you grew up in Prescott, pretty conservative place, were you an athlete there? Did you play sports?
I did.
I thought you did, but I couldn't find it anywhere.
I was a varsity badminton player. It's a sport.
No, I know it is because I have friends who were on ASU scholarships for badminton.
ASU is a great
very good badminton school. 2 Canadians.
Yeah, okay.
Yes.
There you go. And I played a little bit of basketball.
And you've got a daughter, Hattie.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
She's 12.
Hattie is 12, yeah.
Do you think it's fair for Hattie to compete against a biological male in sports? Or would you have liked that on the other side of the badminton net?
So this is this is obviously something that's come up all across the country. Although I would say it's number one an issue that I think has been dealt with appropriately at the local level, and I think you know as kids get older and older, that fairness issue is more and more. Is more relevant. Let's put it that way. If you're talking about like an 8-year-old kid, that's one thing.
Yes,
if you're talking about a 16-year-old kid,
girls are play Little League with boys.
Yeah, I used to play Little League.
Okay, right.
I played Little League. I was the only girl playing Little League.
But when you get
with a team full of boys,
15, 16, 17, 18, then.
Yeah, I think those are fairness issues that are legitimate. And no, I wouldn't want my daughter to have to compete against boys.
Okay, so when Arizona passed that state law, Tom Horn then got sued.
Yeah. Because
he's the head of education here. But you would not defend him. Why?
In that particular case, we thought that in that particular law, we thought there were constitutional issues that were not defensible, and so that's why we didn't defend that particular law and that particular issue.
It wasn't about the issue.
No. But I mean,
he would tell you something different.
I think you have to separate it. Again, number one, this is a wedge issue that I think the Republicans are trying to use. Number two, there is an element of cruelty as well to this in the way the Republicans are using it to bully especially younger transgender kids.
You were elected Attorney General almost 4 years ago. What have you learned?
I have learned that sometimes government moves slower than I would like it to. I'm impatient, and I think we've accomplished a lot. We've just talked about a lot of different issues that I've worked on, but I am hard on myself. and I demand a lot of myself, and I think that, you know, every minute that I spend in this office is a minute that I want to be accomplishing something for the people of the state and protecting the people of the state. And there are a lot of criminals out there, there are a lot of fraudsters out there, and sometimes other branches of government move slower than I want them to.
One more. You've always struck me as somebody who's pretty ambitious. I mean, whatever you go after, you tend to make it happen. You run for Corporation Commission.
Yeah.
You win 2 terms. You run for AG. You win. Narrow margin, but you got it done.
Yeah. Yeah.
Would you ever challenge Katie Hobbs?
No, I'm not going to challenge Katie Hobbs. You know, look, I love this job. I think this is the best job in state government, and I think we have so much that we need to do here that I just want to win a second term. I need those 4 extra years to get more accomplished for the people of Arizona.
27th Attorney General for the state of Arizona, Kris Mayes. Thank you.
Thanks, John.
Thanks for joining us. As always, we appreciate your time, and thanks to Kris Mayes for joining us. We'll see you next week on Newsmaker.